Hands-on with Pioneer's sub $350 CarPlay-enabled head unit. So this is the Pioneer MVH-1400NEX. You can see that it's a very clean installation thanks to the double DIN installation kit, and it fits very well in my 2012 Toyota. You can see it has several buttons. These are all capacitive buttons. It's a total touchscreen device, meaning there are no physical tactile buttons at all, which is both a good thing from a design perspective and a bad thing from just a usability perspective. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You can see the interface here. This is the stock UI that comes with the Pioneer head unit, and it is in traditional stock head unit fashion, very clunky. The frame rate's really bad on it, but that really doesn't matter because that's not the reason you would buy this head unit. You're buying it for CarPlay. So basically you're going to be bypassing all this anyway, and you're going to be getting right to CarPlay, which performs really well. I still don't understand why stock UIs are so bad on head units in general, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to be using this portion of the 1400NEX at all. So let's just get right to the part that you care about, CarPlay. Okay, so I have my car turned off. I want to show you how long it takes to boot up into CarPlay. So just turn my car on. You can see the Pioneer splash screen. That stays on for a few seconds. I have my USB port plugged in. I don't have my phone connected just yet, but now I'm going to connect my phone after I tap OK on the warning screen, and then you can see, bam, there is the CarPlay interface. So that takes in all about 10 to 12 seconds from power off to boot up into CarPlay. So not bad at all. So I want to draw attention to how much more fluid the CarPlay interface is compared to the stock Pioneer UI. I don't have to tell you, you can see it for yourself. It's a night and day difference. And to be fair, all of this is being powered by my iPhone 10, which is obviously magnitudes more powerful than this head unit. Like all CarPlay units, the 1400NEX is basically like a container to show you a window into what's on your phone, pretty much. And it's presented in a way that makes sense for a car or a vehicle UI. So you'll notice these little shortcuts here. You have one shortcut at the top there for your communication. So that's like your phone or messages. You have your music shortcut, and then you have navigation. Now, navigation can only use Apple Maps in the current version of iOS, but with iOS 12, you're going to be able to replace that with third-party navigation apps if you wish. Another thing I want to draw attention to is the lack of multi-touch. So there's no pinch to zoom, for instance, here. On the Maps app, you're going to need to use the on-screen software controls to zoom in and zoom out. The capacitive screen performs similar to an iPhone or iPad, although it isn't as responsive, meaning you'll have to be a little bit more deliberate with your input. So here I'm just showcasing the different shortcuts here. So you have the communication shortcut, switching between messages and the phone app. And if you use a third-party app like WhatsApp, for instance, it would also rotate WhatsApp in that shortcut list. Now let's briefly demonstrate Siri control.
Open Overcast.
So you see the microphone for voice control, and I can use that to launch apps using Siri. And of course, you can pretty much do whatever else using Siri.
Open Podcasts.
Launching another app with Siri, the podcast app.
Open Music.
In my opinion, it's best to control CarPlay with Siri using your voice. That way you don't have to interact with the screen as much, taking your eyes off the road.
Who shall I text?
So I can send a text message.
What do you want to say?
Using my voice.
Hey Jeff, just testing out CarPlay.
Your message to Jeff says, "Hey Jeff, just testing out CarPlay. Ready to send it?"
Yes.
Done.
And then you'll see I receive the message, and I can play that back simply by tapping on it.
Jeff said, "Hey Jeff, just testing out CarPlay. Want to reply?"
No.
Okay.
And in my opinion, the killer app for CarPlay is Apple Music. Yes, it works with third-party music apps like Spotify, but Apple Music is where it's at.
Play Odyssey, first choice.
Okay, playing First Choice by Odyssey.
And the reason for that is that you can request songs and control the entire music app using only your voice. You can't do that with Spotify. So I can request playback of any song on the entire Apple Music library, ask it to play a certain playlist, radio station, etc. The only downside is that you can't control volume with Siri.
Play Summer 2K18 playlist.
Okay, playing playlist Summer 2K18.
But in addition to controlling Siri with your steering wheel controls, you can also control volume if you have that available and your installer hooks it up right. So make sure they do that, because that makes a huge difference, because the device lacks that tactile volume control. But overall, I think the MVH-1400NEX is a deal. At less than $350, it looks great, and it gives you an interface that's way better than your stock stereo. Be sure to read the full post over at 9to5Mac for even more details, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This is Jeff with 9to5Mac.